This video is about how to use animation in 3ds Max to render different models, colors, and scenes all in one scene to try and optimize your workflow a little bit. So let's first do some pre-planning that will help out in the future when you actually have to put those frames in the right places. So let's say you have to render a twin, a queen, and a king bed in black, white, gold, and pink. And you have to do straight on, L45, which basically render at an angle. And you have to do that in tree scene. Basically what you would do is do on frame 0 to 3, you'd have the twin in black at 0, in white at 1, the gold at 2, the pink at 3, and then you do the same with the other side, so the queen in black, white, gold, pink would be 4, 5, 6, 7. The king, still the same color, black, white, gold, and pink. And even if you have less color for certain sizes for some reason or another, you can still place them like that, and the worst comes to worst, you have one more pictures, and you can just skip that one when you actually give them to whoever was ordering them. So 8, 9, 10, 11. So you know your animation will be on 11 frames. No, wait. 11 frames for one scene. So that would be scene 01. Here we go. Then you'd have the same thing from frame 12 to 23 for scene 02, and 24 to 35 for scene 03. All right, so this is our game plan. Now, here's our incredibly simplistic scene, just so that you can focus on the concept of animation that I'm going to show you. So you would have your twin bed, this beautiful blue box, that would be on this spot from frame 0 to 3. So you open the set key mode, and you can either press this button, the plus button, or just press S. Then you go and anchor that animation on frame 3 so that it doesn't slide. And what you would do is on frame 4, you'd send that back over here, and it's going to stay there until frame 11. So here you go. Then you're going to take the queen bed, and what I like to do is actually move it while the twin is still there, so that I can relatively match the placement. Then I'll go to the frame where it's supposed to be, so frame 4. Set key. From 4 to 7. And then I'd go back to frame 3, where it's supposed to be the twin one, and I'm going to drag it back out. Then on frame 8 to 11, I'm going to send it back out again. And here we go. We have the 2 first bed up and running. Then the king one. You'd go on frame 8. Oh, wait. Let's go when there's still the queen one. We're going to move in the king bed. Here we go. Don't worry too much about the clipping for the, well, let's call it a nightstand for now. We'll get to that when we get to actually moving the elements of the scene a bit to make the different scenes. So you go and on frame 8, you want it to be there. Frame 11, here we go. And then before that, on frame 7, you're going to drag this back out. And same thing on frame 0. And then we've got one full translation of the bed cycle. What you can do now is select all 3 of them. And you know you'll have this for 3 scenes. So you can just select all of those. And if you click on Shift and then drag those back here, they're going to copy those frames. And you want to do this another time because there's 3 scenes. So you press Shift and you drag these out to frame 24. And then your bets are going to translate and get in and out for the whole 3 scenes. So that's okay for the actual movement of the beds. Now let's look at the colors. Let's open the material editor. And I'm going to go and fetch the 4 colors. Normally it would be materials, so your V-Ray materials and all that. So you just go and fetch all of those. You've got your white, your black material. So they can be different fabrics, velvets, linen, all stuff like that, or different type of woods. In this case, it's just going to be plain V-Ray colors, material with very simple colors. Now you could do this several ways. You could copy the twin with different colors and animate differently. The reason I don't like doing that is because I often work with furniture that has millions of polygons, and copying the bed just to have a color swap is just making your scene heavier for no good reason. The other way you could go about it is using multi-material. I'm just going to bring that out real quick. This thing. And what you can do is add material ID, I think. Yeah, this guy. You can add a modifier to your bed so that you can change the material ID, and then you'd only have to click on auto here and change the ID depending on which frame you want which color. The reason I don't like doing that is because basically you have to do that for every bed. In this case, it would just be 3 blocks, so it wouldn't be too hard. But let's say you have your bed in several parts that have all different IDs and different colors. You have to go in there, and you can't really take full advantage of your animation slider to help you out in this. You always have to go back into the modifier. If you change your thing later on, you have to re-add the material modifier to be able to change it again. And it's basically, it works for simple stuff. And the thing that is fun is that you get to see in the viewport the color change. But all in all, I prefer another method that I've seen very few people use besides myself, which is using a blend material. So what I'm going to do is bring out a very blend material. And here we go. We plug in as the main material your white, let's say. Then you plug in your black in your first coat, your gold in your second coat, and your pink in your third coat. And then you want to turn all of those blend. The blend color is basically how much of this color is going to overwrite your white. You want none of it. You want nothing to overwrite your white for the first frame. So you're going to turn all of these black. You can also just copy and paste. Here, copy, paste. There you go. Then you want to turn your filter for your slider into material. And then you want to add your blend material as your material on the bed. Assign material to selection. Actually, you might as well do it for the other two at the same time. Here you go. And then you just have to animate this, and it's going to animate it for basically all of your beds at the same time. Now the trick is, to animate this, you cannot just set keyframes for some reason. Max doesn't want you to do that, but you can do it if you press auto key, because it's going to put keys on even hidden values that you don't have normal access to. So just put auto, and first let's anchor our white on frame 0. So copy, paste, paste, and paste. And then on frame 1, you're going to want to change so that it's your black material that will overwrite everything. And now you see, you can start seeing the frames after the first frame. And then you're just going to put keyframes on the other two to make sure that they stay black. And then now if you move from frame 0 to frame 1, you see that your black material is going to override the white one, because the blend becomes white, and the blend white means 100%, black means 0%. So right now, 100% of my black bed material is overwriting my white bed material. Then you want to do this for the two other frames. So you want to take this white and put it here, and then change that to black. Here we go. And then copy, paste. Here we go. And then on frame 3, we want the pink one. So go and change this and this. And then bam, you have your 4 colors animated for the first 4 frames. Here you go. And then you can select all of those and just shift, drag, and it's going to copy those frames. So you just keep doing this until it covers up to frame 35, we were saying. So just pick those, bam, and just so I don't overshoot here, I'm just going to pick the 4 last ones, and here we go. And now your materials are going to change for the entire scene. Here you go. And yeah, I'll admit the flaw of that technique is that you won't see the color changing in the display. So if that really bothers you, you can use the material ID route, but that's not what I'm going to show because that's not what I use myself. All right, so now that we have the bed taken care of, we can just adjust some elements of the scene. So normally you'd have like plants, a nightstand, maybe frames, all sorts of thing in your decor to make a scene what it is. But if you can get away with just changing a few elements to have a different scene, the way you can go about it is, let's say that this is your nightstand, your decor for the first scene. You want it to stay there. Oh, let's put the filter back on your transforms. There we go. You want this to stay up until frame 11. No, wait. In this case, we'll have to move it around a bit for the different size. So at frame 7, I'm going to put another key here. And on frame 8, I'm just going to move this so that it makes sense and the nightstand wouldn't clip into the bed. And then put another key here, put another key on frame 11. And then on frame 12, I'm going to send this over here. And I'm going to bring in this guy, which would be your decor for the second scene. I'm just going to bring this here. Here we go. Just go. So remember, you can always shift and drag a key to copy it somewhere else. So in that case, I can just copy that frame and put it at 0, just so that it's clean. And I'm sure I'm not going to drag it around if something happens. So then I'm going to move it until it clips again. So in this case, it's going to clip if I change to the queen. So I'm just going to move it a bit over here for the queen. And let's put this here. And for the king, I'm going to move it again. Here we go. And here we go. And on frame 24 for scene 3, we're going to move the decor out. And bring in the third decor. So let's put a key here. On frame 24, let's bring this in. Let's see if it fits for the queen. That works. And for the king, we'll have to move it. So here we go. Frame 32. Let's move that out of the way. Move that to 35. And it's the last scene, so I guess I can just leave it there for now. So this takes care of the decor. But obviously, you'd want to change a bit more things in the scene to make it fit. So let's say that we want to adjust the color of the wall. Let's go for that. So here we have still your blend material for the bed. We're going to make something else for the walls, because I'm going to want more light in my scene, so I still want most of the walls and the ceiling to be in white. So I'm going to assign IDs, different IDs to different walls. So for that, I'm going to need a multi-material. Then I'm going to, let's call it wall. Name your stuff, people. TL. Then I'm going to bring a V-Ray material. This is going to be our white wall MTL. And it's going to be what we have on our ID number 1. Let's just make it white like that. However, I'm going to want to be able to change the color of the accent wall. So for that, I'm going to bring another V-Ray blend material over here and connect that to ID number 2. And here we go. So this is going to be the accent wall blend MTL. Then I'm going to want, let's say, well, for the first one, let's bring in, let's say that we want the entire room white. So let's put this guy as the base. And let's say that we want, because basically the problem with the white wall is that when the bed is white, it's going to not be as distinct from the background, and it's going to make it hard to focus on it. And in this case, you're trying to sell the bed, right? So you want the focus to be on it and not be distracted by everything else in the scene. So the first coat we'll have is a gray. So we are going to accent wall gray, just so that we can swap to it for when the material is white in this case. So we know that your white material is your frame 0. And the first scene is going to be with a white wall. However, you want this gray wall to appear on frame 0 instead of the white wall. So we do this the exact same way as we did with the bed. We just have to be careful about on which frame we're doing that. So let's say that we have this case, we want the accent wall gray to overwrite on frame 0, but we want it to switch out on frame 1 so that the accent wall becomes white again. So we see what we're doing. We're just going to fill this back to material and assign the multi-material to that wall. Assign material to selection, and we're going to have to select the back wall, give it the ID number 2, and on this one it'll be ID number 1. Here we go. Oh, wait, did I go the other way around? Let's just go and check that out real quick. This is the second. Yeah, and for a second I was unsure what I had done exactly. All right, so now for your second scene, let's say you want a blue, navy blue wall, a classic that usually works. Here we go. Might be a bit too grayish to be really called navy, but it still works. So let's call this navy blue accent wall MTL, and it's going to be our code number 2. Then for scene number 3, we're going to want, let's say, a dark green. A bit darker than that. Here we go. And this will be the dark green accent wall MTL. And we are going to put this as our code number 3. Now, we have to be careful because we just put in 2 dark colors. So we have to check because the bed is going to be white on frame. On frame number 1. So in this case, it's going to be frame 13. Frame 17, and I'm going to note these out. 13, 17, 21. $25. The reason I'm taking note of that is that I'm going to want to swap out the color a bit like I did for the white to a gray, but in this time it will be from the dark one to a gray. So this is frame 29 and frame 33. All right. So I just took note of that. So now let's go and adjust the colors of the wall for our different scenes. So I want the white wall. Let's switch those to black right away. I'll go as far as putting a keyframe on that. So let's just move those back to black. You don't see it, but there's a frame being created here. Then I want to go at frame 11, just before I switch scene, put a keyframe on everything. Just so there's no problem. And then on frame 12, now I want my navy blue to be my color of choice. Here we go. And I'll come back for switching back to the gray at some spot. For now, we'll go to frame 23 and just copy, paste, just so I create new frames for it. And the last one, as starting as frame 24, copy, paste. No, I want to swap out this one to black and this one to white. And I'm just going to go to frame 35 and do the same to log these in, paste, paste, and here we go. All right, now the only thing I need to get to clear out is the dark wall for the blacks. So at frame 13, I want to swap back to the gray. So what I'm going to do, we already have frames on frame 12. I'm going to want the same frames on frame 14. What I can do instead of doing that is just shift drag to 14. And now frame 13 is isolated. So I can just swap out here black and here white. And for good measure, I'm going to change this one to black. So you then go and do the same thing on frame 17. Here we go. Let's move those frames. On frame 21, here we go. We can still take those frames, be happy with those. Here we go. Then on frame 25, but we have to be careful here. This is a new scene, so we have to redo a bit of work. On frame 24, we have the dark green wall. So we want to copy that frame on frame 26 to isolate frame 25. And then on frame 25, we want to and go and bring up frame the gray color, and then copy and paste. Here we go. And then we have the switch for the gray color. Now on frame 29, you can do this. And on frame 33, again, you can just take those and bring them here. And now you can, you'd have basically everything working. You could do the same thing for the floor, although I'd probably swap them out for other completely different floors, like another type of wood, or maybe concrete, I don't know. Maybe add a rug or something. But the basic principles are there. Now you'd only have to, since everything is automated, you'd only have to go in and render from frame range 0 to 35. This is the Batchcam render add-on that you can add to 3ds Max. Is very convenient to when you have several cameras in your scene and you want to set up more easily where you save your stuff, what you save, which frames you want, and all that. Another thing you want to check out is your cameras, because when you have several sizes of beds or furniture for that matter, if you want your focus to be solely on the bed, let's move that a little to the, here we go. You might have to either make different cameras for the different sizes of bed, or what you can do, since we're on a roll for the animation, is animate the position of your camera. So let's take cam straight on, create, I'm probably still on materials right now. Let's go on transform key. Let's put the keyframe here for both the straight on, and don't forget the target. And then frame 8, I'm just going to drag this back out a little. Here we go. Let's put a key here also. Yep. It still worked for the queen, so let's just move it out for the king. And on frame 11, let's put another key. Let's copy that for frame 0. And then again, we can just move all of those and copy it again. And we're good. Now you can do the same for the camera on L45. Yeah, you'd have to do it for the frame 35 as well. Let's select cam L45. The queen is still good, so let's just set key. Put on frame 8. Let's go back out a little. Here we go. Don't mind the missing ceiling. You'd have a ceiling. I certainly hope you would. You might have to tweak the cameras and all that, but yeah, you should be fine with that. 11. Let's copy this again. And here you go. So obviously this is a very simplified scene. It would be a bit more work when you're working with a full decor, real furniture and all that. But the principles of animation you need to know to set up your scene so that you have several scenes, several sizes and several colors are all there. So I'm really hoping this helps someone and it's in kind of clarify things for those who kind of heard about those techniques, but weren't sure how to apply them. So here you go.